women. So we start on time, and I will use the couple of minutes that we have before we officially start to recognize my general counsel, Christine Jean-Louis. Raise your hand, because if you're here and you're from an agency and you're new, or there's someone different representing your agency, because there have been so many changes, and I'm looking at changes right around this circle right here. We need new contact information for your agency or your office. So I think that's very exciting. And so while we're waiting to start, why don't we just go around the circle, and then we'll go around the room. And we are going to start with Tara, when you can announce your new role. Yes.
I better turn this on. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. Tara Down, Deputy Comptroller from the Comptroller's Office. Good to see everybody. But we are transitioning our designee to be Morgan Brown, who actually is in the audience today. So in the future meeting, she's our Director of Strategic Planning, and she's going to be our
Morgan, don't leave without telling Christine where you are.
I promised Christine I would email her, so.
Hello, everyone. Vanessa Durantis, the Commissioner of the Connecticut Department of Children and Families and Vice Chair of this illustrious body. I previously co-chaired the Health and Safety Subcommittee, so I am quite fortunate to be in this seat, really kind of advancing the work of the council. Happy to be here and happy to see you all in person.
Thank you. And Susan Beisowitz, Lieutenant Governor.
Erin Choquette, CEO of the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority.
Charlene Russell Tucker, Commissioner of Education.
Jen Patetti, Director of Legislative Affairs, Treasurer Russell's office.
Hello, Kimberly Martone, Acting Executive Director for the Office of Health Strategy.
Melissa Osborne, State Representative of Simsbury, and I've been lurking in this council for a long time, but I'm actually seated here now.
And nice to have you here officially as a legislator. Great.
Michelle Siegel, Commissioner for Department of Consumer Protection.
Andrea Barton Reeves, the nominee for Commissioner for the Department of Social Services.
Lieutenant Casimira Morris, Chief of Staff for Commissioner Avella, Department of Emergency Services Public Protection. It's a long one.
Bridget Kessner of the Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Abuse, the Alliance, replacing Lucy Nolan.
Leanne Hemmings, Program Director for Maternal Health Equity at Harvard Hospital with Harvard Healthcare.
Great, and we'll go right here behind Christine, and then we'll go back to the side. A man. John Santiago, you got it. All right, excellent. Go ahead. And by the way, Lieutenant Morse used to be in that job, so you never know. Does that all fit on a business card? Okay. And I've been on the boat with you. A sight to behold. Excellent. Well, a very impressive group of people. And oh, I saw him earlier today. Go right ahead.
Hi, is it afternoon?
Yes.
Paul Robertson, Chair of the SEC, Deputy Director.
Excellent. Very nice to see everyone. I think we've introduced everyone. Yes. Okay. So happy New Year greetings to everyone and welcome to our full council meeting and the Governor's Council on Women and Girls. And it's great to see everyone in person and it's great to see everyone there virtually as well. To my Vice Chair, Vanessa Durantes, it's nice to see you. Commissioner, would you say a few words, please?
Thank you again, Lieutenant Governor. And well, hello. Executive Director Larson has just joined us from Higher Ed. We're happy to have him here as one of our co-chairs of one of our subcommittees. And we do have a pretty robust agenda to hear from our subcommittees and to hear what's been happening and what's on deck for 2023. So we're again excited to be able to be here and advance the work of the council. And I'm happy to be here sharing the chair spot with Lieutenant Governor. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Today we have 2 presentations and you're going to also hear from our subcommittees with updates on what's happened since our last council meeting took place in October. As you can see from our introductions, we have a few new faces from different agencies. Some people are stepping up to different roles or into different agencies, and we're excited for all of those changes. And as everyone's settling into their new roles, just make sure that my general counsel has your information so that we can continue to keep you informed about our council's work. At our next council meeting in April, we'll spend some more time doing introductions so that everyone can get to know one another. So, and again, I'll say one more time for our state agency heads and designees, if you haven't already told Christine, please do. Tell her who your replacement is so that they can be on our distribution lists. So we're going to get right to our agenda. Our first report is from leadership. And as far as that report, we've begun exploring legislative topics and issues that we want to address and explore during the session. We'll work with our respective agencies and subcommittees to finalize ideas for the governor and OPM's consideration. So at this time, we are going to move on to our presentations. And the first is a presentation of our computer science dashboard. And we're going to start with the State Department of Education, who's going to present the dashboard. And we have SDE's Chief Performance Officer, Ajit Gopalakrishnan. How about that? My name is Bisowitz, so I practiced. So Ajit, you could take it away.
Great. Ajit is online and doing this through Zoom. And so we can make sure you have a good experience. That's why we did that based on the technology. But I would just want to say we proudly share with all of you our EdSite data portal, which is all things education data that's available transparently to everyone. And we just wanted to demonstrate one of those new dashboards, which is computer science, which is something that is so important to all of us, that you're able to see disaggregating the data and what it is. So when we talk about solving problems, we know exactly what it is that we need to be solving. So with that, hopefully Ajit is online and we'll take this away. Go ahead, Ajit. Thank you very much.
And just also welcoming Beth by our Commissioner of Early Childhood. Nice to see you, Commissioner.
Great. Can you hear me in the room and on Zoom? Okay, great. Good afternoon, Lieutenant Governor, Commissioner Russell Tucker, and all the other commissioners and delegates here. Thank you for the opportunity to share the computer science dashboard. This dashboard is located on our data portal called EdSite, and you should be seeing that on your screen. Can you see that on your screen? Yes, okay. And in the room, is it visible clearly as well? In the room, you could see the screen as well?
Yep, we can. We can.
Okay, great, great. Thank you. So this is our data portal EdSite. There's a lot of reports available. I mean, I could spend days on this, but for purposes of today, I'm just going to focus on the computer science dashboard, which is accessible if you go to instruction and computer science, and I've loaded it up here. This is what that dashboard looks like. It focuses, because of the data we have, it focuses on high school. And it's really looking at access and participation in computer science. There are multiple dashboards available here. There's a state level dashboard, which I am showing right now. There's also district school and also a course view sort of coming at who's offering what courses. So let me walk through each of these briefly, and then I'll pause and take any questions. It shows you data for multiple years, but it defaults to the most recent year, the year that just ended, for which we have data, which is the 21-22 year. Obviously, we're in the 22-23 year, for which we will have data after the year ends. What this dashboard shows you right at the top here is that 13% of students statewide in high school are participating in computer science courses, while 94% of students may have access to those courses. And what do we mean by access? That their school or district is offering that course. So yeah, lots of schools are offering the course, but what we see is about 13% of students are actually taking a computer science course in the 21-22 school year. On the right-hand side, you see what are the top 10 computer science courses, and that's just based on the number of enrollments in those courses. And that gives you a kind of a quick snapshot of what are the types of courses: computer programming, robotics, engineering design, et cetera. And you can look at that. On the bottom here, it gives you a map and shows you the percent of students participating in computer science by district, so that you can hover over. The darker the color, the greater the percentage of high school students who are taking a computer science course. And you can kind of hover over that and see that. On the top here, you'll notice a few things. One is that you have a student group option. And the Commissioner Russell Tucker talked about disaggregating the data, and you see that you can actually disaggregate by many different categories. It defaults to gender, and I'll show you that as to why that does that. On the bottom left here, you see there are two tabs here. One says access and the other one says participation. Obviously, by access, there is even access across the board. But the moment I switch to participation, you notice the gender gap that is there nationally, but also in Connecticut in terms of the percentage of males versus the percentage of females participating in computer science courses. And this is showing you a trend over the past 5 or 6 years. And you notice that among males, over 18% of males participated in a computer science course compared to 8% of females in high school. And so it gives you that gap. Now, you can also change that to, for example, free or reduced price meal eligibility. And then it'll show you that same data, but now for free or reduced price meal eligibility. And here you notice that among those eligible for free or reduced price meals versus those not eligible, there is a slight disparity, but not to the extent that you see when you look at it by gender. So 14% of those not eligible for free reduced price meals versus 12% of those who are eligible for free reduced price meals. And why do we look at free reduced price meals? It's really a proxy for socioeconomic status in our education data. And again, you can look at it by race, ethnicity, here where we look at the different race ethnic groups. And you could see this group here is students who identify as Asian. You see that their rates are 26% compared to all the other groups. White students, for example, at 13%, similar to the state average. Hispanic students are around 12.5% and so on. So again, the biggest disparity that you see is at least among the groups we see is with gender. If you switch different years, you'll notice that the charts will update and show you sort of the more, what was the data that was true as of that year. And you can sort of flip around and see that data as well. The gender gap that we see in this, and I talked previously prior to this presentation with our computer science and math consultant, Jen Michalak, and she was sort of educating me that in the earlier grades, in the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge, for example, where we see data in the earlier grades like 3 through 6 or 3 through 7, we don't see as much of the gender gap that you see here in high school. So it's interesting to sort of note that in the earlier grades, you do see more of an even participation in the elementary middle schools, but then when it gets to high schools, you tend to see that sort of specialization happening and the type of gap emerging.
Can I just jump in?
Absolutely.
We saw with the computer challenge, but we've also heard about this one. We've had STEM experts talk with us. We see almost equal participation right up through 5th grade, but after 5th grade, middle school is when girls and young women's participation in computer science and STEM fields starts to tank. So that's one of the reasons why we have the Lieutenant Governor's Computing Challenge, to try to encourage both girls and boys, but particularly girls and young women, grade 6 and up especially, to compete. And one thing we did see when we had our computing challenge a year ago, there were a lot of young women who spoke for their teams and were extremely articulate. So that's the challenge for all of our friends of the council and council members. And I'm so happy that we have legislators here who can help get the message out about our computing challenge and have schools in their districts participate or use your networks to and your organizations. I love that the Girl Scouts are here. I know STEM education is a big part of what you do. So we'd love to see teams from the Girl Scouts or individuals from the Girl Scouts or Boys and Girls Clubs, etc. Thanks, Ajit, for that interjection.
No, that's wonderful. Actually, that's very apropos. And we now have a dashboard at the high school level, Lieutenant Governor, that as those efforts in the earlier grades take hold, we should see this, both of these bars increase, but the one here for females, for our young girls, young women, increase hopefully faster in the years ahead. So, that's a high level overview here. You will also notice in the top part here, we have all CS computer science courses, but then we have something called Group 1 courses and then Group 2 courses. And I just want to briefly mention, Group 1 courses are more of the courses that directly teach computer science fundamentals and programming skills. And Group 2 courses are more application oriented. And if you look at the list on the right-hand side, computer graphics, machining, engineering design, et cetera, being Group 2 courses, and programming, robotics, computer science, computer gaming and design being more of the Group 1 courses, more direct computer programming and fundamentals sort of courses. So it's important to watch this distinction. And these data come from school districts that report to us. And there is a national coding structure that's used to gather this information. And Connecticut actually worked with some New England states to agree on a common coding structure for what constitutes computer science courses, what constitutes Group 1, and what constitutes Group 2. And all of those details are actually under the related links as well. I won't open them right now, but there is a course guide that actually walks you through which courses are counted where, because that's important to know as well. If you go to the district school level dashboard, you actually get the ability to view within each district. So you can actually, it defaults in this case here to Hartford, but you can change to look at any district. And I'm just going to click through a few. As you click through different districts, the data will update and you will actually be able to see what their participation looks like. Some of the metrics are a little different. We no longer look at access because we're looking at a particular district. So we actually go right to participation, and you can actually see within that district, what are the courses that are popular, what are the courses that are offered. You can also disaggregate within the district to look at those different gaps, race, ethnicity, and EL, English learner status. I didn't mention that student group. That's another student group that's in the mix as well. Is there another question from the room or comment?
I'm not seeing it in the room.
Okay, maybe somebody on the Zoom didn't mute themselves quick enough. Okay, no worries. So you can change the district, but you can also select if there are multiple schools within the district. And I'll pick a district that has multiple schools. So I was looking previously at West Hartford as an example. So they have multiple different high schools as well as alternative schools. So you could look at, Hall High School. How do they do and what are the courses that are popular, and then look at Conard. And so that's just an example to illustrate what are the types of, the level of granularity. And even within that high school, if data permit, you can also look at by grade, which grade are students taking courses and you notice generally you tend to see more activity in the upper grades, but it doesn't have to be that way because there are a breadth of offerings that students can access even in the earlier grades. So that's the district and school level dashboard. Again, it's really helpful for educators in different districts to actually peek into each other's districts, see what they're offering, and make those connections across districts, because sometimes educators who teach computer science in our districts, there might not be many of them within a particular school, but this kind of allows them to see who's doing what and try to reach out and connect to their peers. Lastly, you have a course view as well in this dashboard, which now steps away from looking at the organization, whether it be the state, the district, or the school, and looks at it from a course level and says, okay, computer programming course, one of the popular ones. Let me look at computer programming and see who's doing it. Who are the districts who are doing it? And let me get a list. And you can actually hover over that and see what is the high school, what's the district that's offering it, and then make that connection. So this is really the course view. It gives you a full, more detailed description of what the course is. And again, here again, you can disaggregate by those student groups as well to see, are there particular courses that maybe the gaps aren't as pronounced as we're used to seeing in sort of at an overall level. And again, you can switch back and forth to the different years. And there's also a course description, which just gives you all the courses that are coded as computer science and what the description for each of those courses. And these descriptions come from a national code book. So it's not something Connecticut is sort of making up, so to speak. It's a national code book that states across the country are agreeing to encoding our courses that way. So that's what allows us to actually generate this easily. There's a system for collecting this that the State Department of Education has, that districts provide data on an annual basis. So the systems and the pipes and the machines have been built, so to speak, such that this dashboard will now update on a annual basis. So as we get the next year of data in 2023, sometime in late October, November, we'll finish collecting for the prior year and loading it into our data warehouse. This report updates and you'll see the newest data and see how things are trending. So it allows us to kind of track our work over time. So hopefully that was helpful. And Commissioner Russell Tucker, I'll turn it back to you. And if there's anything else you think I should highlight, please let me know, and I'm happy to do that.
Thank you so much, Ajit. And I'm watching the room, and I think people are pretty impressed with that data. And we bring that to Connecticut and to all of you. It is so important for us that data is publicly available and transparent. Just a couple of weeks ago, we had a parent and family webinar at night. Ajit demonstrating, having people to bring out their devices just to access all the education information that's there about your school. I know we have legislators here. I've got something for you too. We're developing so you can have access to all the report cards and everything for your district, for your school, so you have that information. It's so that we can make informed decisions together. I think it's also how we keep our systems accountable at all levels. And so in this particular case, isn't it great to know what is and what isn't as we think about how do we improve computer science uptake at our district level? You can go in and take a look at your school, look at the grade. And so as we make decisions together, we're doing it from an informed place. And so Ajit, thank you. I'm just going to say kudos to Ajit and his team. I call Ajit our data czar here in Connecticut. But everything that we have available to us on our EdSite data portal is run out of Ajit's shop. And I can tell you people across the country are very envious of Connecticut and what we're able to do here together. So thank you very much, but it's not for us, it's for all of us in the state of Connecticut. So Lieutenant Governor, the governor can also make informed decisions around education. So I am just pleased to be able to share that with you today. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner. So
we do have
much.
some questions.
Sure.
On Zoom. So one question was, is there a set curriculum from SDE to follow for computer science? And the second question is, will the dashboard, does the dashboard collect data on staff and students with disabilities?
Yeah, so I can respond to that. For the computer science courses, no, there's not a set curriculum. There are frameworks that we subscribe to, but there's not a set curriculum for the computer science courses that I'm presenting. Districts align their coursework and curriculum to what's there.
No, you do not meet the selection criteria listed on the code.
Oh, okay, that was background noise. Yeah, so there's not a curriculum package or something that the SDE prescribes in the case of computer science here. So it's really, these are local offerings and they map their coursework to the best matching descriptor in the national code book. And that's how we're able to see what they're offering. And do we collect data on staff and students with disabilities? We collect data on students with disabilities. And I didn't show that disaggregation, and that is one of the disaggregations that's available in pretty much all of our dashboards and reports. The student with disabilities subgroup is a group that you can disaggregate our achievement data, our attendance data, our suspensions and expulsions, whatever. All of those data and the computer science participation data are available, can be disaggregated for English learners, students with disabilities, race, ethnicity, gender, free reduced price meal eligibility, et cetera.
Great. All right, so we're going to move on to our second presentation, and that is an overview of Connecticut paid leave. And we are celebrating an important anniversary, are we not?
We are celebrating the 1 year of receiving claims and paying claims benefits to the citizens of Connecticut. We started making benefit payments a year ago on January 1st. We're actually 2 years in for receiving contributions. Christine, do you have the slide deck? Great. So just as Christine gets the slide deck up, just a quick run through. We're going to level set to make sure everyone has an understanding of the difference between Connecticut paid leave and FMLA, if you wouldn't mind going to the agenda. Then a review of the qualifying reasons, just some information about where we stand a year into providing benefits, and then some information for all of us on how to be a Connecticut paid leave ambassador. So if we could go to the next slide. Keep going. So Connecticut paid leave, or CTPL, is the program that provides income replacement benefits to eligible employees for certain qualifying reasons. We do not provide job protected leave. So it's important to know the difference. Job protected leave is provided under FMLA, which I'll tell you about in a second. Basically, the program is funded by the 0.5% contributions that covered workers contribute to the fund. It is remitted by their employers to our Connecticut Paid Leave Trust, which is administered by the Treasurer's Office, and that is what funds our benefits.
So I must ask, because this is the first time I'm seeing that it doesn't provide job protected leave. So does that mean if I leave to for a number of weeks to care for a newborn baby, that I get my benefits, I get checks for those weeks, but I'm not guaranteed my job when I go back?
Not under Connecticut paid leave, but if we go to the next slide, if you are covered under FMLA, you get your job protection. So there are two laws that provide job protection. Both are called FMLA. One is the federal FMLA and the other is the Connecticut FMLA. They allow eligible employees to take that job protected leave. So if they need to take time off to be home with their baby or care for a family member, care for situations that arise out of deployment, they are guaranteed their job back when they come back to work. FMLA is job protected, but there's no money attached. The employer is permitted, but not required, to provide income replacement to their employees. And many do. Many are very generous, but a lot are not in that position. And so that's where we've come in to fill in the gap. Just as an awareness, Connecticut FMLA changed radically last year. And as a result, it provides benefit or leave coverage to many more workers than ever had it before. So if we could go to the next slide. The qualifying reasons that I'm about to talk about are the same reasons under both FMLA and Connecticut paid leave, but I want to just take a moment to talk about them because this is where I think we intersect with the people in this room. The number one reason that we see people taking leave and coming to us for benefits is for their own serious health condition. They are sick, they need to recover from their illness, they need to recover from surgery. They cannot work during this period of time. This also includes serving as an organ or bone marrow donor, and technically pregnancy is considered a serious health condition, so it falls under this category. The second most common reason is bonding leave. If you are a person who has just given birth to a new baby, if your partner has just given birth to a new baby, or you have adopted a new child, or you are a foster parent, you can take time off from work and receive benefits from us to bond with that child. Bonding leave is available to both parents. You don't have to pick. It doesn't matter the gender or sexual orientation or marital status. It's just, are you the parent to that child? Bonding leave can be taken anytime between the birth of the child or placement, up to 1 year thereafter. There is also some entitlement for bonding leave for some of those pre-adoption or pre-foster care activities like going to court or traveling to pick up the child. Then we also have caregiver leave, which is the leave you take if a person in your family has a serious health condition and they need you with them. It could be to help drive them to the doctor's appointments. It could be to meet with a doctor. It could be just to provide that psychological care and comfort that we want when we're sick. The definition of family in Connecticut is very broad. It includes your parents, your adult children, your spouse, your siblings, your grandparents, your grandchildren, and any person who is the equivalent of one of those family relationships. So those are our big three. The next slide shows the less frequently used leave types. Sorry, go back. There we go. There are two military family leaves. One is military caregiver leave. This is a special type of leave available to you if your family member has been injured in the line of duty on active duty. So there is job protection under FMLA for this, and there is income replacement benefits if you are caring for that injured service member. Qualifying exigency leave is a different type of leave. It's available to you if your parent, spouse, or child is being deployed or otherwise called to active duty, and you need to take time away from work to address certain qualifying exigencies, like updating your banking arrangements, updating your power of attorney, changing childcare arrangements because the person who's being deployed was that childcare person, and now you need to find new childcare. There's 9 of those situations. And then finally, there's the Family Violence Leave Act. This is not actually part of FMLA, but Connecticut law has provided child protected leave since 2012 for individuals who are experiencing family violence. The statute says that you can take up to 12 calendar days of unpaid leave if you need to receive treatment because you've been injured, if you need to relocate, if you need to attend court, either civil or criminal, or if you are participating in any sort of victim services organization or treatment or
Can I
services.
ask, because we have seen such a huge increase in domestic violence during and coming out of the pandemic, what is the percentage of people that use that as a reason, family violence?
So we do not see very many claims under this for the benefits. It is my experience that this is not a very well-known entitlement. For the job protected leave, there's no central resource for tracking it. For the benefit claims that we've received over the past year, you're talking, just saw the numbers, I think it's about 30 out of 50. I'm looking at Andrea because she knows the numbers better than I do. About 50,000 individuals have received benefits over the past year. We need work. I'm looking at you and I'm looking at you. I want to get your information. We need to make sure that people understand that this benefit exists. Just one note on family violence leave. If you are a person who has received some sort of injury or illness as a result of that, you can of course get leave and benefits through the medical leave, which is a better entitlement. We always steer you that way. But if you need time off to go to court, there's no other entitlement. And so we want to make sure people know that this is available to them.
So I think that we should brainstorm in another venue about how we can get this information out there. And when you apply for paid leave, does your employer know the reason? Because I'm thinking that, you know, maybe some particularly women don't want to take advantage, or men wouldn't want to take advantage of that because they have to state the reason and their employer might know.
So we are aware that there is certainly a worry about stigma. When you apply to the Connecticut Paid Leave Authority for income replacement benefits, we do need the employer to provide employment verification. There's information we need from the employer to be able to process the claim. And we encourage people to talk to their employer so that they get that job protection. So sharing the information with the employer, it's very minimal information, but we do need to share some. And I think we need to work collaboratively with the employers to make sure that employers have an understanding both of what to do when this is going on. I know that the coalition has done a lot of work with training employers. Keep looking at you because I don't want you to leave. But I think we need to do more, and we need to make sure people know that this is available. Okay, so now next slide. So these are the reasons that you could take leave or receive benefits. Going into the next slide, we have, as of middle December, which is where I had these statistics, we had about 44,000 employees or individual workers in Connecticut receive benefits. That number has already ticked up because we're over 2 weeks into January, which has covered over 2.5 million days paid and over 240 million to Connecticut citizens who need this benefit so that they can take that time. As it shows on the left-hand side, most of the reasons that people are taking leave are for their own serious health condition, with pregnancy and bonding coming in close behind, with the numbers of military, adoption, foster care, bone marrow, and family violence very low comparatively. So next slide. Oh, I'm sorry, there's a question. So on the military caregiver leave, it is, statute does say in the line of duty on active duty for the military caregiver. And then on the qualifying exigency, it is for a deployment. So it's your family member who would take the time off when you are deployed. So those are both in the situation that it does call for active.
And what's the status of money in the fund? Are we have the resources to continue to keep paying?
We do. We, as I mentioned at the very beginning, we started receiving contributions a year before we started paying benefits to build that trust fund. So we have time, but we're continuing to receive contributions. So the fund is healthy. We continue to work very hard to make sure that we gather all the money that is statutorily required, which is a fairness piece, right? Those of us who are contributing toward this fund and are funding these benefits for our friends and neighbors and coworkers, everybody should be doing it. And so that's actually something we're working toward as a point of emphasis this year, is on increasing compliance, making sure that everybody is paying what they are supposed to be paying, so that we've been very focused on education for the past 2 years, and now we're sliding into a compliance focus for that equity perspective, just to make sure that the fund remains solvent as it is right now. We just want to make sure that it stays solvent for years and years to come.
And we would just want to say thank you to Andrea Barton Reeves, who was the executive director of that authority, and now she is moving on to lead our Department of Social Services, provided our legislators say okay.
Which they will.
Which they will.
So next slide, please. So as I noted, the way the contributions come in is that employers register with us and then they remit those contributions on a quarterly basis. We have over 140,000 employers registered with us. Sole proprietors are also allowed to participate. They are not required to, but they can join in if they want to. And so we have approximately 6,000 sole proprietors who have registered with us. There is a mechanism for alternative compliance. So if instead of remitting the contributions to the authority and having us process and administer the claims, employers can request approval from us to have private plans that follow the policy template that we created with the Department of Insurance. And so we have about 650 employers who have opted to go that route. It's with the private plans, you can have an insured product or a self-administered product. The vast majority of those are fully insured products, but we do have a handful of companies that have gone the self-insured route. So next slide, please. So how to be a Connecticut paid leave ambassador. If you go to the next slide, the first thing is to really think about how those leave reasons that I mentioned intersect with the services you provide and the populations you serve. So community organizations for military families, family violence organizations and the coalition, people who provide support to foster families, who encourage foster families, individuals or companies or organizations that are helping individuals with disabilities enter the workforce, or providing caregiver support services, or providing information about mental health services. Mental health can be a serious health condition. You can take leave and get benefits if you are out of work due to a mental health condition that you're receiving treatment. Healthcare providers, social workers, resource officers. We really want to continue our efforts with outreach and engagement by identifying the people who are helping people in these situations. So if you are there, think about that and how can we help you help your clients, your customers. So how can we do that? On the next slide, there's 3 ways. Learn about the program, share that information with your customers and clients, and partner with us. We are thrilled to work with our coworkers, our other agencies. We will, you have an event, we will come. I can even make cookies. So we can share this material with you. We created a quick guide to Connecticut paid leave because there's a lot of information. If you really want to get into in-depth information, you can check out our website, which is at ctpaidleave.org. If you have questions that you can't answer, or you have an event idea, you can click on our Contact Us button and submit the question or tell us about your event idea. We have very active and robust social media. We have podcasts that are great. We are coming up on our 25th podcast. I think will drop in February. We have newsletters. We have videos on YouTube. So there's a lot of ways to find out about us, a lot of information. And we'd love to work with you to make sure we get the word out to your workers, your staff, so that everybody who is entitled to receive the benefits knows about it and can receive them. And we always share information about FMLA so people get the job protection they need to.
Erin, thank you. And Andrea, thank you so much for everything that you all have done to build up the authority to where it is today, because you've been very creative and you're thinking about who else can be served. I do have one question. I think I'm channeling Ajit right now in terms of, have we been able to disaggregate the information on those who have applied by gender? Because I noticed when you were highlighting those buckets, particularly the high frequency buckets, they seem to be ones that would likely be by women. And so when I think about the strategies developed through this council specifically, with everyone here at the meeting, as well as those on Zoom, how can we be more directive as it relates to helping women and girls?
So we do have the data on women by gender and by age, and women are receiving benefits from the authority at a rate of about 2 to 1 for men. So, which is about consistent with what you see with FMLA in sort of nationwide.
They are the ones having the babies. I'll say that.
It's, you know, if you are pregnant, you are often using our benefits, and that kind of skews the numbers up. We do see a good number of men taking leave, and we also want to encourage.
And I have met men who have done that to bond with their babies, which is fantastic.
Or be caregivers. You know, that's an important part of participating in a family. And then the highest age group is also people of childbearing age. So you've got the sort of late 20s to late 30s is sort of our highest utilization for age group. So that is definitely where we see it, but we see it actually at all ages. Everybody who's in the workforce from 16 to in their 80s, we have had people apply for benefits. So we're happy about that coverage.
Commissioner Bai.
Thank you so much to both of you, Andrea. The presentation today too was great. I think we've just uncovered something at OEC in our work to identify the high need for infant toddler child care. And the Lieutenant Governor has been active on this. We've talked about being short 50,000 spaces for infants and toddlers that need childcare. That number's come down a bit as we've really dug in instead of just using high-level data. But one thing that surprised us is when we had some volunteer analysts look at the data, and they believe that paid leave reduces the demand for infant toddler care by about 20%. Oh. So it's actually opening up spaces for families who couldn't find childcare. And if we think about that, it's allowing parents to stay home longer and care for them. You remember during the buildup to this, one of the facts that just blew us all away was that the average parent went back to work 4 weeks after they'd had a baby, or average mother. My guess is that's different now in Connecticut, but what a wonderful outcome that we never anticipated, that it's helping to reduce the shortage of childcare for other mothers, if you will, and families.
And you could also envision situations, as I'm thinking about, gee, if this was only available when I was having babies, right? You could have, one parent take off a certain number of weeks, and then the other parent takes off after that. So how wonderful for child development, right?
Thank you for sharing that. That's really great news. And I know I owe you a phone call because we have a lot of things to talk about. I just so that people know, the entitlement for FMLA and for Connecticut paid leave benefits is generally 12 weeks in a 12-month period, although a person who is experiencing incapacity during their pregnancy can access an extra 2 weeks. So if you have to be out during your pregnancy, you get 2 weeks, and then you have the baby, you could stay out for another 12, so with a total of 14 weeks. There are some rules under Connecticut and federal FMLA that allow employers to require married parents who work for the same employer to share their job protected leave entitlement. There is no requirement to share under Connecticut paid leave. So there's many ways of organizing that time. Anyone who wants to sit with me afterwards, I've got a chart about the 8 different ways you can organize and spend your time, because you can stack it and have one person home and then another person home, and really make sure that you are doing what's right for your family.
Great. Thank you so much, Erin. That was very informative. And I know I want to continue to be an ambassador for paid leave. And I have some ideas about how we can further collaborate. But yes. Okay, thank you so much. And next time someone from our gallery wants to say something, we'd invite you to come up to the microphone because we're getting Zoom comments that they couldn't hear you. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, we appreciate that. And now I think what we're going to do is we're going to move on to our subcommittee reports. So we're going to start with economic opportunity and workforce equity. Is there anybody from that subcommittee that would like to report?
Yes, thank
Tara.
you. I'll just give a quick update to let you know what we talked about on December 8th. We met and we kicked off with 2 presentations on a couple of things that we're working on at the comptroller's office that relate to the work that we do here that I just wanted to put on the radar. One is My CT Savings. That is the new Connecticut Retirement Security Program. This is a new program to serve Connecticut's private sector workers to make sure that in their workplace, they have an opportunity to save for retirement, because there are about 600,000 people in Connecticut workers who do not have that at all in their workplace. And not having that can mean people have to work their entire lives with no hope of retiring ever, or they find themselves retiring into poverty. And this particularly affects women and minorities more than anybody else. So just wanted to put that on the radar. We're rolling that out in waves, and we're gonna have an update on that tomorrow. Also want to mention that our office conducted a health equity study recently, and we're trying to get the word out about this. This is an equity study on the state health plan that serves about 270,000 lives in Connecticut. And the goal of the study is to see whether our plan, the employees and their dependents on our plan, are getting the same quality access to healthcare benefits across demographics and how we compare to other employers. And the good news is that our health plan breaks every benchmark in terms of people getting cancer screenings and accessing the care they need. But we did find the one area where there was kind of a notable gap involves paraprofessionals. And so just putting that out there, that's an area that we need to, investigate more and, figure out how to get rid of that gap. So just, we raised that and we'd like to continue talking about that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else on economic opportunity and workforce equity? All right, so we're going to move on to education in STEAM. Who would like to report?
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Governor. I would first of all like to just welcome the new members. This is a really exciting program to be involved with, and your energy certainly has uplifted so many people in the state of Connecticut. It's really exciting to be part of. I just want to take a moment for those who are new to reflect on our side. We had an information hub and the coding challenge, as well as an internship toolkit and the arts. So myself and former Commissioner Bangi Magyabani put together quite a collection of individuals, and certainly Janice Floyd and my right arm and person who has really held up this committee tremendously is Noelle Kidney. She's my jack of all trades, my executive assistant and my legislative liaison, all packed into one person. She's just been phenomenal. You've already mentioned Jennifer Michalak and her job on the coding challenge, Norm Sotheimer, and I noticed that Robert Early was in the audience earlier. Comcast is one of our sponsors, and we are continually looking for corporate donations in order to keep this coding challenge up and running. And we've been doing a tremendous amount of outreach in that effort. And so we're continually looking to strive to collect more outside money and sponsorship dollars to promote this activity. We have people from the internship toolkit like Lynn Rasick over at CCAT, and certainly Carolyn Alessi with 1 Million Women in that whole program. So what we're going to do going forward is we're going to sort of pivot our operations. We have most of that stuff grounded and up and running. We have some nuances with software that have to be landed and moved about, but we're ready to run. And is to really start to look at more networking and social type events where we can encourage, to your point, Lieutenant Governor, where we see a drop off in the younger ages of coding and so forth, is to have members of our team try to set up and follow mentoring opportunities at those schools, provide opportunities for really engaging opportunities of networking, connecting people with internships, and really a full-throated announcement of how important this really is to the state of Connecticut. And I think we're ready to do that. You know, we want to piggyback on other organizations, events, bring our people to that. You know, we have folks at Coca-Cola, which runs a bottling plant in the great state town of East Hartford. They want to invite women to come to their plant because no human hand touches a bottle of Coke till you pull it off the shelves. There's jobs there. There's computing opportunities there. There's coding opportunities there. So those are the kinds of real hands-on dynamic opportunities that we want to continue to flush out and push forward on the education and STEAM side.
Thank you so much. And our legislators can help us get kids in their district engaged in the computing challenge. And also our new commissioners and our commissioners who are continuing should be reminded about the internship toolkit, because this is really important for recruiting new people to our state agencies. We are all bleeding. All of our agencies are bleeding people. We had a huge number of people, over 5,000 people retired last year. And so every one of our departments needs people. So the internship toolkit is an amazing opportunity to start recruiting college students. I know in our office, we have 5 to 6 interns every semester. And I've had interns that we have hired as full-time employees because they were so amazing. And the DCF commissioner is saying the same. So for any of you commissioners who are not making use of that talent, then I would definitely encourage you to do that. And go ahead.
One quick comment on that internship. I would be remiss, and I would encourage Jonathan Richter to stand up and take a bow. He interned in our office last year and now works for the Department of Economic and Community Development.
There you go. All right. And I'd say the same about Kira Burnham and John Kelly in our office. So
before we go to the next committee, Shantae Hanks wants to report on economic opportunity.
Oh, excellent. Hi, Shantae.
Hi, Lieutenant Governor. Good afternoon. And Commissioner Durantes, members of the council, Happy New Year, by the way. Commissioner Muscara-Brune and I have made it our mission, as you know, to train and educate individuals in construction and development from underrepresented groups in this space, particularly women. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 14% of construction workers are women. And I have spoken about our Housing and Community Development Leadership Institute, in which we provide training. And speaking of internships, we also provide internships with a stipend at the end of the completion of the program. And we're very proud of the work we're doing with HCDLI. But with that said, I'm very happy to say we have just recently hired a woman as our new building construction specialist. I believe this is the first for the Department of Housing. So I want to share that with the committee and the council.
Thank you so much. And one of the things on our agenda is also encouraging women to go into the building trades. And Christine, I think that's one of the seminars, panels that we have on our list, because those are very high paying jobs, and they are jobs that come with apprenticeships where you are paid while you are learning. It's the learn while you earn. And I think not enough people know about those opportunities, sort of like the manufacturing and STEM opportunities that Director Larson was talking about. And so we will be working on getting that message out there. And I just want to give a shout out to the 62 people who are watching and listening online. We appreciate it. And we have at least 30 people in this room. So thanks to everyone for listening and participating. We're going to move to the Health and Safety Subcommittee. Who is here from Health and Safety? Commissioner Bai.
Madam Lieutenant Governor, I will defer to Commissioner Gifford first, and then I will add color. I know she is joining us via Zoom. Hi, Commissioner Gifford.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Governor, Vice Chair Durantes, and Commissioner Bai and other commissioners. Thank you. I am day 2 on the job at OHS, so brand spanking new to this role as a tri-chair of Health and Safety. Although, as you're going to hear from Commissioner Bai, the focus for this committee is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, which is maternal and infant health. And I'm really looking forward to working with our terrific new commissioner at DSS and all the members of this group on that topic in the upcoming year. So glad to be with you all, and really looking forward to assuming this new role on the subcommittee. Back to you, Commissioner.
Commissioner Gifford, we're so happy to have you in your new role, and to have Andrea in her new role. Just keeps coming. As Commissioner Gifford talked about, I was thinking that I'd be like the Megan Como color commentary here. For those of you that don't watch UConn basketball, she is our amazing announcer. We did meet 3 times this fall. One related to, are there legislative plans related to maternal health, and what are those? We talked about racial equity in maternal health and teen pregnancy and mental health. And so to Commissioner Gifford's point, we're very focused on maternal health. Also, I think it's important to update the committee that indeed the Universal Nurse Home Visiting Program does have a successful bidder, that is Bridgeport Hospital and its affiliates. And we are in contract, finalizing the contract now. And we think universal nurse home visiting is going to be incredible for women's health. It's been shown to do that across the country. So that's exciting. So this committee stays up to date on that. And Commissioner Durantes, you guys have been wonderful partners, as has DSS, DPH. This is a really, truly a 5-agency effort, because we know that those first days after birth have so much impact later on. So that's my report. Go Huskies. They're back. They can play. They can play.
They might have put you in.
Yeah,
they've been down a few players. All right. Very good. So now we're going to move on to the leadership committee, subcommittee. During our December leadership meeting, we had a very informative discussion from the Office of Treasurer on the Connecticut Inclusive Investment Initiatives, which was created to build upon and enhance existing programs at the Treasury. The Connecticut Horizon Fund was one of those programs, and it diversifies the management of the state's pension assets while giving opportunities to minority or women-owned Connecticut-based emerging investment management firms to participate. So we have a lot of respect for the Office of the Treasurer and its great work, and we're looking forward to working with our new treasurer. The presentation slides that were shown, which were great, are available on the CoWaG website, or you can call Christine and she will make sure that you have those very informative slides from the Treasurer's office. So for 2023, we have a very full schedule of ideas and themes that we will be considering and will be part of our continuing leadership panel series over the next 3 months. To give you an idea, we will have a panel about teaching middle and high school students computer science, because that is not an easy thing to do. And we want to encourage more teachers to do that. So we're going to be meeting some teachers that do that extremely well. We are going to be focusing on women and farming. Interestingly, farming, which is a big part of our Connecticut economy, it's responsible for more than $2 billion of gross product and more than 20,000 jobs. And can you tell I grew up on a farm? The new farmers that we are seeing, people coming into farming, are women. It's very interesting. And we want you to meet some of those women farmers. We will be celebrating women of color for Black History Month. We will be doing a panel on domestic violence issues with our partners at the Coalition on Domestic Violence. Sadly, we have seen an uptick in the number of intimate partner homicides in Connecticut. So we want to talk about that. We are also going to be doing some events around International Women's Day in March. And finally, we are going to be doing a program on career advancements in health sciences. And we'll have some amazing women to hear from on that. So with that, what we'll do is we will take a pause and ask if there are any of our CoWaG members or designees that have anything that they would like to share or add as an update or event information. Commissioner Bai.
It's not really an event. I always feel the need to say this at these meetings, that we talk a lot about non-traditional female jobs and the need to make those open to women, which we all agree with. But I know, as someone that was interested in childcare from a young age, that I was often shamed as a good student for wanting to go into early childhood. And we have a tremendous shortage of caregivers in the state. And so there are great careers in caregiving and in childcare, et cetera. And we have work to do to get those wages up. I think sometimes we encourage women to move toward the jobs that are dominated by men because those tend to be compensated more. So I just always, when we have all these conversations about STEM and computer science, which is so important, I find it important to say those jobs that have traditionally been held by women are super important and make a huge difference in our culture too. And we are experiencing tremendous shortages in the caregiving industry. So great career, childcare. If you're watching from home, give it a go. Check it out.
Thank you so much, Commissioner. That is important as well. Any other announcements?
Just one announcement as a reminder, everyone would have saw it in the email, Million Women Mentors Stand Up for STEM Mentorship Award. That ends, the deadline's at the end of the month, but they're looking for nominations.
Right. You can nominate others. You can nominate yourself. Don't be shy.
One person virtually, Commissioner Perez.
Okay. And please go ahead, Commissioner.
Sure. Thank you. Two announcements on behalf of the Department of Banking. One, we put together a working group, which included staff, your Chief of Staff, Lieutenant Governor Joseph, or your former Chief of Staff.
Don't
Adam
rub
Joseph.
it in.
Yeah, which I know from my days in New Haven anyway. And we have an RFP out there asking for entities who do literacy education to put, so we have a request for proposal, request for qualification for entities to submit their ideas on how to improve on literacy, financial literacy. And we have a committee that will select an entity. So if you know anybody who does that, who may be interested, they can go to the DAS. I don't know exactly what the website is, but Matt Smith or one of those people can help you. But DAS has a website where people can go into and get requests for proposals. And there's one for the Department of Banking for literacy education, with the focus on underserved and young girls, women and young girls. And it says it on the RFP that that's the focus. The second thing, we also have an intern that we're going to be hiring, that we're in a latest stage of being able to post a position in our banking area. that if you know any young person and any young woman that will be interested in that, we will train them. We do have another intern in securities, but we don't get to keep them normally because they become so valuable that the industry hires them from us, right, when they graduate from college. But I don't mind training them. I don't mind giving people the opportunity. So those are the two announcements. Any questions? I'd be happy to answer it, or you can send me an email.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, so one announcement from CoWaG, January is Mentor Month, and thanks to Million Women Mentors, we will be hosting a chapter networking event on Friday, January 27th from 3 to 6 at Southern Connecticut State University with a very dynamic panel of STEM mentors. So be on the lookout for the flyer with more details. And as I mentioned, we've launched our computing challenge. So we have a lot of really great free resources available for students, for teachers, and computing camps to get them involved with the challenge. And email Christine for any information. And finally, I'm going to give you our meeting schedule. So Economic Opportunity and Workforce Equity is scheduled to meet on February 7th at 3. Education and STEAM is scheduled to meet February 15th at 3. Health and Safety is scheduled to meet on March 6th at 10 a.m. Leadership is meeting on March 22nd at 3. And the next full council meeting is scheduled for April 11th at 3. And Madam General Counsel, do we have any other announcements in the chat? All right. So Commissioner Durantes and all of our distinguished members, thank you all for coming. Friends of the council, nice to see you. Legislators, welcome, welcome, welcome. And we look forward to working with you. Thanks, everyone.